This video is brought to you by Guardio, with special emphasis here on the fact that Guardio provides a high-quality service in the world of online security.
That the scope and scale of this incident are beyond any that we've confronted as a nation.
A ransomware attack that shut down a vital fuel pipeline on the East Coast.
Colonial Pipeline is the operator of the largest pipeline carrying fuel from the Gulf Coast to the Northeast.
What a lot of people don't realize about cyber attacks is it takes months and months, and in some cases years, to restore your systems.
Cybersecurity is a challenge for all of us.
What if I told you right now, today, and every day going forward that there is a global cyber war taking place all around us? Some of you might believe me, some of you may not, some of you might actually know about this topic already, and others have no idea. Everyone is coming at this from a different angle or perspective, but for those that are blissfully unaware, today I want to pull back the veil and showcase the cyber war that is being waged every single day by millions of people all across the planet. It all begins with the Five Eyes: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the United States. These five nations, unofficially titled the Five Eyes, are core members of a global security initiative officially named FIORC, the Five Eyes Intelligence Oversight and Review Council. This agreement, among many other widespread implications, solidifies an information transparency initiative with cooperative action, oversight methodology, and sharing of results. The Five Eyes, working collectively for the protection of global citizens, or so they say, initially began in World War II as a loose alliance between UK and US codebreakers before America joined the war. But today, the Five Eyes have become a nucleus in what can only be described, once again, as a global cyber war that many of us simply never pay attention to. Beyond the Five Eyes, which operate as the core component of a broader alliance, there are the Nine Eyes. This is a sort of extension pact bringing Denmark, France, Norway, and the Netherlands on board, totaling 9 separate countries with a solidified agreement in place to cooperate on matters of national cybersecurity. But as with any geopolitical hierarchy, it doesn't stop there. The third and final version of this information pact between nations is called the 14 Eyes, knowledge of which was originally leaked to the public by Edward Snowden. The 14 Eyes, much like the 9 Eyes, can be viewed as a sort of extension treaty, officially titled SIGINT, which includes Belgium, Italy, Germany, Spain, and Sweden. Collectively, the 14 Eyes, serving as a larger orbiting structure formed upon the central Five Eyes, can be viewed as the world's largest information security and transparency pact in existence, with a measurable amount of collaboration between members. Good, bad, not for me to say, but very, very significant. The Five Eyes, as well as the 9 and the 14, are engaged in what can really only be described as an all-out war to protect the integrity of their systems and infrastructure while infiltrating opposition, conducting international operations, and pushing the frontier of warfare beyond the scope of anything we can currently imagine. Alright, before going further, I want to quickly bring up a separate but also kind of related topic. Recently, I worked on a video trying to describe a malware threat that was lurking alongside Google advertisements when you search for various different programs. During that research, I was looking for quality sources on the topic, obviously, and I actually ran into today's video sponsor, Guardio. The content they had published was, and I do mean this when I say it, extremely helpful to me, and also proved in my eyes that Guardio is very adept at the services they offer. For users operating on Chrome and Android, which a decent chunk of you are, we do have the data analytics to back that up, the demographic information from YouTube, Guardio is an extension that offers threat tracking and online protection. A huge amount of our personal information is stored in browsers, but Guardio will work proactively to block harmful websites and malicious downloads. Guardio has also showed me an instance where my data has been breached, which, believe me, I'm now paying much more attention to. And just to be thorough, online threats are always evolving. That much is true. There's no singular method of staying safe all the time online, but Guardio is an extremely valuable tool to me and one that I am very, very happy to recommend. If you click the link down below right now, you can have a free scan, first of all, as well as a 7-day trial of the service. After that, it's $10 per month, but the Upper Echelon community will also receive 20% off. Again, link down below, and thank you to Guardio for sponsoring the channel. Focusing on the United States, we can begin to showcase a more complete view of what is actually happening, far beyond the standard level of awareness that most people currently enjoy or hold. Using resources like the Tactical Human Intelligence and Counterintelligence Operations Manual, which was declassified sometime after 2002, as well as the IACS Cybersecurity Incident Response Playbook, created in 2022, we can start to get a much more complete picture. The United States, contrary to what many might be aware of or believe, is engaged in counter-offensive cyber infiltration ops against nation-states, hacker organizations, and digital threats. One example, as recent as January of 2023, outlines how the FBI infiltrated the Hive's network, Hive being a well-known ransomware group with alleged ties to Russia, successfully destroying the organization in what Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco described as hacking the hackers. To learn more about this angle, how it's possible and what they do, etc., we can also examine the declassified FBI Undercover Operations Manual, which may pertain to this kind of operation. Every single day, there are state-funded groups, sovereign nations, and globally allied superpowers competing for dominance in a digital arena that most of us either do not even know exists or have no influence on. State-sponsored cyber terrorism is a very, very real thing. While the actual list of known APT groups is obviously far longer, according to certain agencies and different international partners, even just a rudimentary look behind the curtain can reveal an entire world of conflict just beneath the surface. APTs, also known as Advanced Persistent Threats, are typically sponsored by actual governments. Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, and more will apply resources and funding to the organization of small squads, if you will, who are then capable of inflicting tremendous amounts of damage. One example to draw from was widely reported in 2022 when Reuters exposed how a group of mercenary hackers had been infiltrating court cases and law firms in South and Central America. Hackers for hire had been targeting individual lawyers, law practices, and even their subsequent clients, influencing the outcome of cases after they were hired to go after American targets in high-value litigation battles. Still, another example can be seen where a group of teenagers were arrested in connection with a group known as Lapsus, also known as Dev0537, when the group began to target high-profile technology companies like Nvidia, Samsung, and Ubisoft. Lapsus became known very quickly for targeting companies in healthcare, government, energy, education, telecommunication, and media. After successfully breaching Microsoft's servers and bragging about the accomplishment thereafter, one of the Lapsus leaders is believed to have been arrested as a result of business disagreements online, where he was subsequently doxxed by his partner. The 16-year-old crime ring leader had amassed a tremendous Bitcoin fortune and failed to stay ahead of law enforcement afterwards, but all of this demonstrates one thing very clearly. There is a war being waged every single day on a global scale through our digital devices, and most of us simply have no idea. One of the largest individual examples of cyber war operations ever in human history occurred in 2020 through a system called Orion. Later referred to as the SolarWinds hack, the Orion system was used as a distribution mechanism to infect more than 30,000 public and private organizations. Due to the nature of how the hack initially occurred, attackers were able to exponentially increase their overall target numbers, including government agencies and multinational corporate systems. Now regarded as the largest of its kind, SolarWinds and the Orion network were part of an attack that to this very day, we do not know the full extent of. I don't know what they got, what they saw, what they did, or why they did it, but what I do know is that the cyber war isn't just active, it's accelerating. Understanding the cyber war fully requires understanding of complex international treaties, government response tactics, and digital infrastructure. I'm far from an expert, of course, but having worked with multiple security sources familiar with the field, this is what they explained to me. The Five Eyes, collaborating in this exponentially escalating digital war of sorts, utilize a system called Stone Ghost. Stone Ghost, which is a code name for the network used by the Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA, is an information exchange network between Five Eye countries that has facilities and data centers all over the world, but even that has become a digital battlefield. In 2012, a sub-lieutenant in the Canadian Royal Navy named Jeffrey Delisle passed information from the Stone Ghost network to the Russian Military Intelligence Agency, or GRU. Walking directly into a Russian embassy in Ottawa, he later stated, quote, "It was never really Canadian stuff. There was American stuff, there was some British stuff, Australian stuff, it was everybody's stuff," end quote, solidifying the reality that while a centralized five-nation alliance of sorts might have dedicated and secure systems in place, they are still anything but actually secure. Our entire lives take place online. Obviously not everyone, that's not universal, but the reality of modern America and most modern industrialized countries for that matter is that digital connectivity is now essential. E-commerce, online payment processing, record keeping, infrastructure, hell, everything relies on internet functionality in some way or another. And the threat of a widespread cyber attack dealing irreversible damage to one or more of our critical systems is only ever increasing. According to the IMF, as of spring 2021, the threat of cyber attack against our horrifyingly unsecure digital financial system is growing. And even Klaus Schwab, chairman of the World Economic Forum, has specifically discussed the dangers of comprehensive cyber attack, stating that it could cripple the modern world if not prepared for. Of course, current power structures and leadership will undeniably use such a threat to expand their already overwhelming top-down authority, but the danger of cyber warfare bleeding over into everyday life is absolutely real and absolutely terrifying. Also in 2021, there's no end to the number of examples that can be given here. A ransomware threat group successfully targeted and extorted critical infrastructure by compromising the Colonial Pipeline, alongside similar attacks that even targeted American meatpacking facilities, where the conduit to disperse fuel oil was ransomed by cyber criminals. To be clear, this was a successful attack, infiltrating critical systems and then ransoming these necessary systems back to the company who owns them, while helpless citizens wait in the background, simply hoping that their ability to cook and produce heat gets turned back on, is horrifying, but that's the world we live in now. These are the battle tactics taking place on a scale most of us can't even imagine, with a frequency we'd rather not acknowledge or admit, because the truth is, we are holistically unprepared for what will happen when someone decides to inflict real damage. In the background of this video, by the way, as disclosed in the initial text disclaimer, I commissioned an ethical demonstration in an isolated environment of ransomware being deployed against a target machine. This is what it would probably look like if ransomware got into your personal computer. Modern media overwhelmingly gravitates toward physical conflict. News channels showcase violent crime, Middle East instability, and other more visceral footage in order to attract views. But in the background, a multifaceted war is already being waged by hundreds of individual groups, countries, and mercenary cohorts, with enormous amounts of collateral damage in the process. A perfect example to underline such a point came during 2010 when a program called Stuxnet, believed to be a result of joint American-Israeli operations, infiltrated the Iran nuclear program, dealing more damage through simple lines of code than almost any dedicated missile strike ever could. The program was a country-level cyber weapon deployed against Iran that successfully destroyed the functionality and speed of centrifuge operations while returning false positives to users through diagnostic tools. Due to how difficult it was to clean infected devices, this one digital attack set back an entire country's nuclear program by years, and that was in 2010. Imagine what kind of damage can be dealt now. It's an objective fact. The danger is increasing, and yet the primary concerns we hold on a daily basis have almost nothing to do with the most worthy topics. People use the same passwords for everything just purely based on convenience, turning them into perfect vulnerabilities in a corporate structure. One compromised email, download, or website, and suddenly an entire company has been turned into a malware distribution or spreading superhost capable of becoming far more dangerous than any tank or missile or bomb ever could even dream of. Yet still, most of us remain unconcerned. The truth of the matter is this. Your entire life is already impacted every single day by threat actors in other parts of the world. They just choose to leave you in peace. You aren't useful to them, so they ignore you. But make no mistake, there is a war being fought in the digital landscape right now that rages on more intensely than almost any other conflict imaginable, but due to the nature of how it gets fought and the tactics involved, the public either loses or never even gains interest to begin with. Fortunately, that lack of interest may soon be impossible. Just a couple of weeks ago, according to a creator named Null404, ChatGPT-generated malware successfully claimed an official bug bounty. That may seem innocuous or inconsequential, but phrased differently, ChatGPT created novel and successful malware that was capable of accomplishing a substantial goal for profit, making it easier than ever for people to start producing and using weapons of the cyber war. Up till now, this hidden world of cyber warfare was relegated to smaller communities and dedicated participants. I would say very dedicated participants. But now, the floodgates are opening in a way that could terrify, or should terrify, all of us, and bring about greater understanding of security topics with additional precautions taken by any of us who recognize imminent danger. Hyperbolic? Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. And it's not my intention to sit here and say that the world is coming to an end, because it's just not, okay? We're fine. But the blissful ignorance that I and many others have held for so long is very quickly coming to an end. A chilling note to end on is this. In 1998, during Senate committee hearings interviewing Loft Heavy Industries, the following exchange took place directly.
I'm informed that you think that within 30 minutes, the 7 of you could make the internet unusable for the entire nation. Is that correct?
That's correct. Actually, one of us with just a few packets.
Whether or not you believe these claims is obviously up to the individual. However, if true, the precarious state of our digital infrastructure is undeniable. This video is titled Welcome to the Cyber War because the cyber war is already here. It's just about to get a whole lot more mainstream in the coming weeks, months, and years. Maybe during that time I'll have a bunch more videos to make, but that's it for today. As always, thank you all for watching. Please consider checking out the links down below to support the channel. It would mean a lot and, of course, make it easier to continue creating content. And have a nice night. One last thing. Obviously today there's a new style for the video, and that's because I'm working now with an editor. There's short form content that will start coming out soon, either exclusively on a platform called Post or not, depending on if this equity deal goes through. And then there's longer form videos where I'm testing a new workflow, which involves commissioning other parties for the production of videos, which you can obviously see in effect right now. One of those is my editor, William, who is responsible for today's visuals. Another goes by the name Sick, who has consulted with me on a couple prior topics. His social media is linked down below. Another contact who goes by the name Jean Lupin, who has prior experience in the world of cryptography and cybersecurity, with the final thank you going out to Mo, who connected the pieces here to make a number of recent projects possible, not just this one. So big thank you to all of these guys for helping me try everything out, and please do let us know what you think in the comments down below.